Welcome everyone to Code and Corruption, Episode 2, File Not Found. I'm Adam, the Vampire Interpreter. I am the Game Master for Code and Corruption. I'm also the Twitch Director here at TTRP Theater.
Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm found pretty much everywhere as Fiery Sunbird. You can also find me here on TTRP Theater in Warhammer 40k Dying Light as the Navigator Primaris Jonasa Benetek.
My name is Julia, and I'm playing Agent Cruz. I also play Captain Mistral in Sagittarius, and you can find me other places. I have games all over the place, and I have a game in an anthology called Honey and Hot Wax, an erotic game anthology, out from Pelgrane Press. And yeah. And you can also find me teaching those as well.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michael. You can find me on TTRP Theater as Skirua. I'm fairly new to Twitch, but I've really enjoyed it. I was in Alien Chariots of the Gods as Captain Miller, and Adam has a few things planned for me in coming months. So you can see me there. You can also find me at conventions all along the Front Range in Colorado running D&D Adventures League events, which takes up the grand majority of my time.
Hi, I'm Ember. I play Amber, or Mina, and plugging one thing. I honestly, there are so many different games and different things that you should watch on TTRP Theater that I think that's the best thing for me to plug right now. This is definitely the thing to plug. I hope everyone has a wonderful game. I'm excited.
Let's go ahead and get started. So let me check my notes here just because I want to drop in the right names of the various, there's only one dead body right now. Of the dead body. Daedalus, but his real name is Brian Wright. Not sure if that actually came up. Daedalus, or the person you suspect to be Daedalus, because you guys have yet to 100% confirm that, but there's reasons to strongly suspect that. Brian Wright was found dead in his home in Maryland. You guys found various sorts of evidence that indicates that it wasn't, it just, there's enough to go, man, was this natural causes? You don't have any obvious signs of murder except for the fact there were gunshots and bullet holes found in his home. You guys were brought in specifically because of the strange amount of technology present, and that has led you to believe that Brian Wright is Daedalus. You guys had grabbed up all essentially the evidence that you feel is necessary. I can't promise that you got everything, simply because sometimes I come up with better clues later, or maybe you missed something. I doubt that, but nothing that I feel like it's going to make you guys look incompetent that you didn't do it. If something's buried in his basement, oops. But you guys gathered up most of the evidence and had it sent back because our last episode ended with the Alexis/Alexa, which it's funny because I know I might be triggering someone's Alexa right now because I think someone's like, Adam, you should rename that. I'm like, oh, don't worry. It'll get a different name later. Trust me. I promise you that. Yeah. It'll get something fun like that. Like, I minimize that. Oh, no, I shouldn't minimize that because then if Streamlabs goes bonkers, I won't see that it's going bonkers. Never mind. So, my question for you guys is, so you've gathered up the evidence. What do you think your next plan is? Like, are you heading back, or is there another scene you guys would like to do? You're like, oh, let's have a scene here, because my notes are, to be honest with the audience here, I just got my COVID booster yesterday, so I spent all of last night and all of this morning dead. So I didn't get a lot of writing done. I have some stuff. So I'm going to give you players, you've got like, oh, wouldn't it be cool? We can do that. If you don't have that, that's fine. I've got other stuff, but I just want you to think. Because now I'm going to start checking everybody's disadvantages, because that always comes up with fun things to do.
Oh, yeah. I think after we definitely, did the whole crime spiel of get ballistics in here, get forensics in here. You know, and then they can do whatever they want, getting a crime cleanup crew once forensics has done a once over on the scene. We got the hardware coming back to our labs.
So I think I got it.
Yeah,
All
I
right, so
was gonna say,
here's what we're-
I think as far as I'm concerned, I'm good.
What I do need, though, speaking of disadvantages here, Agent Harris, you're going to have to roll 2d10 here. Tell me the result, because you have the obsession disadvantage. You've discovered a conspiracy or supernatural phenomenon, and you can't stop yourself from getting to the bottom of it. At first game session, or whenever you encounter something associated with your obsession, make a roll.
Oh,
12, okay. So your obsession influences your behavior. I could take a hold. Right now I'm not going to do anything with that hold. Hold essentially allows me to do something, but definitely Agent Harris, like the way I see it and the way I think you should roleplay it is, you know, okay, this is your first time back in the saddle, that you're not, you know, getting someone in trouble for, you know, some sort of petty computer crime that to you is probably you could be spending much more. You have a dead body, you're back in the saddle, and something's going on here. You know, there's bullet holes. Computer programmers just don't fire off guns in their house.
right.
You know, there's enough here. So go ahead and let that influence. Just role play that lightly for now, and then I'll probably drop something in later. So what we're gonna say happens is because this was only a couple hours drive further into Maryland, you guys return back to your various homes to let the lab do its job. And we'll go ahead and start back that morning. And you guys will be having, let's go ahead. We're going to say, Elizabeth, you're the first to arrive. Would you come, and this is kind of like, let's say work starts. I've never worked for the FBI, but let's say like people are there at 7 a.m. Like that's where people start rolling in, but work doesn't start till 8. You're there at 7:30 because you've got your case, and you find Agent Harris already there. Now, not that he's been truant or late, but he's definitely been pushing the 7:55, 8:05 kind of thing. So you're there 7:30, and he's already there. So I'm gonna let you guys role play for a hot second.
So there's a stack of empty, you know, Joker's Wild coffee cups stacked up on the desk next to the computer. He's actually using both of his monitors, which is kind of a first. And there are several tabs open on the monitor. Even just a quick glance shows that he's been doing searches on Daedalus, bad chips. You might consider it basic as a cybercrime specialist, but it looks like he's been brushing up on your guys' specialties. Morning.
Harris, did you go home last night?
Yeah, for a little bit.
When did you get in this morning? Because I've never seen you in this morning, this early. Not that I'm complaining. I'm just.
I beat traffic here.
It's a new one. That didn't answer my question. When did you get it here this morning?
Did it go?
5.
I beat traffic.
4.
That's the thing about DC. DC has traffic all the time sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Alright.
couldn't sleep, so
I get that. You know, hey, it happens. Just, you know, got to make sure that there's a work-life balance. I guess, you know, I don't want you getting burned out, you know.
There's just a brief moment where Harris looks over the top of his computer at you, and it's plain on his face that he's, for the briefest of moments, it looks like he was considering saying something about your age difference. Like he got that stern dad look for a moment, and then he just kind of sighed and took a sip of his coffee.
You can let me know when you need a top up. I'll run and get you one because it looks like you're probably down in the thick of it, so I should leave you alone.
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
Agent Townsend. Black's fine.
Yeah.
Although if you know where there's a better machine than this Joker's wild crap, that would be great. I haven't drank stuff like this since I was in the academy.
Oh, yeah. We really should just get like a French press or something for the break room. It's why I switched to tea because I couldn't take it anymore.
I always thought you cybercrime kids had like espresso machines and cappuccino, like it maybe had a friggin' barista working down here. I don't know.
I mean, it was our former life. I used to be a barista. Never again.
I thought you looked familiar.
And we'll go ahead. Let's see here. 1 through 5 is going to be Mina, and the 6 through 10 is going to be Agent Cruz. Let's see who shows up next. Agent Cruz, you're more than welcome to finally arrive. Mentioning Phoenix Blue in our chat, mentioning barista makes us think of Ty. The answer to that question, Phoenix Blue, is everything makes everyone think of Ty because Ty is
Yes.
amazing. That
They are
being
amazing.
said, Agent Cruz, you are more than welcome to enter in the scene and begin roleplay.
So I float in like the gray cloud that I am. Put my stuff down. I'm like right on time. Like if we're supposed to be there at 7 or 8,
Yeah.
whatever time it is, to the minute. Put my stuff down and I take everything out. Everything's gray. Morning.
Morning.
All right. Why is everybody here so early?
This is usually about the time that I get here, but Harris has been here for a while, I think is what you said.
Oh,
I came in a little early. It's all good.
A little early enough that he beat traffic.
well, you don't have to prove yourself here.
It's true.
You know.
Thanks.
Mina, you're more than welcome to jump in the scene if you'd like.
Wow. Well, this is a shocker. I'm
Yeah.
never the last one here.
Did you get caught in traffic or?
No, I'm early. I'm on time.
I know.
It's just
I'm giving you a hard time. Hey,
Well, from you, I'll
sometimes this
take
happens.
it.
We're like a well-oiled machine. Got goals, we need to achieve them. I'm not going to complain. We're doing great. I think the lab should have results for us on the hardware, and I think we're still waiting on forensics, but I think we should at least have an initial results, initial findings.
So that being said, sounds like a good segue to some of the information. So what happens is you guys, it takes a little bit. It's not all, you don't get all of that at 7:30 in the morning. You guys aren't that, a dead hacker is not enough to get. So what happens is a little bit of a montage, as it were, of you guys doing your various CSI/criminal minds things. Here, I'm going to summarize what you guys have here. Let's talk about ballistics. This is in regards to the bullet holes in regards to the gun found at the scene. Those bullets did in fact come from his gun. So your working theory would be that Daedalus shot at something kind of, I think I said there was like kind of like that. There's that piece of drywall that kind of leads down to the hallway, and then there was like his kitchen. Shot at that, hit several points there. That does match his weapon. So those bullets did come from his gun. His official cause of death is a brain aneurysm, which is unusual given his age and all that other business. It does happen. Like people do die of aneurysms from time to time, but it's not particularly common, especially at this gentleman's age. The thing is, so they did eventually were able to remove his chip. His chip does have, it's not a standard chip. It's an aftermarket chip. I don't want to say black market because it's one of those things like the way I see it is your standard chip, you get it from whatever the future's Verizon is. You can get it from somebody else, but you run into, is it going to work? You know,
Right.
I would say 75%, 80% of the population has their Verizon chip. You know, or their, Sprint or whatever, there's like probably 3 companies that do it. You can then get aftermarket chips, which tend to be, I don't want to say less reliable, it just requires you to know what you're doing. And definitely 75% of the population does not know how. The chip itself is being sent back to you guys, because I would assume it's like down the street or 15 minutes away is where like they actually cut the body open. They have the chip. Their job is not to plug it in and see what it does, but it's not a standard chip. It's got extra things. They don't know the software, things like that. That's what you guys do. Phoenix Blue, computer nerds get a custom chip and install Linux on it on themselves. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. Like, it's just there's nothing about it that's necessarily illegal. The only reason it's probably more monitored by the government and the FDA is because you're literally putting it inside of your body, and that tends to face a little bit more scrutiny than anything else. So, but that being said, the chip will get here in this amount of time. A very brief kind of access of his gaming rig, which wasn't as well password protected. It still is password protected. You could hack it. That being said, it's his work computer provided to him by Potomac Studios. You guys have enough information. You could petition for a warrant. That's easy. You could go ask Potomac Studios to maybe get access to his stuff or get the password. Or you could do the Patriot Act, because if this is in fact Daedalus, he has hacked the NSA, which then makes him a threat to national security. That being said, that's the heavy card. Like, so, you can do that. Whether or not there are bureaucratic consequences to that part, we'll see how well you guys roll.
Let's save the Patriot Act for when we really want to just slap our proverbial dick on the table. Because I think if we just say, hey, your employee was murdered and we think there's pertinent information on his work computer, pretty please, we might be able to just get it. And then we could go, all right, just letting you know, we're getting a warrant, we'll come back.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm just letting you know your options. And off the top of my head, that's all that I can think of. Because there's his super rig, which is going to be a bitch to get into. So you guys have the info. I've updated you. You guys are having a team meeting. What's the plan?
I have one more question, actually, about the chip. Mm-hmm. How long ago was it installed? Do they know?
I would say that's probably something they have to software identify. Okay. Just in general. Okay. I'm sure there's a way.
I was going to say, if they could tell how old the wound was.
So the wound is relatively fresh, but the chip has been installed longer than, like, he was probably trying to dig it out. It's been in there longer than that, for sure.
That's what I was trying to figure out. Was that, like, did he just get it put in, or was that, like, he's trying to, because, the age of it.
No, indeed. It was not like, it's not like he was having a bad reaction to the chip or something like that, and he's just like, oh, God, I got to get it out. Or at least there's no reason to assume that.
Right.
All right. What are we doing?
I'd actually like to trace that chip and find out some things about it.
Okay, I believe we're doing our tracer. Whenever you utilize intelligence networks to trace something or someone, roll a reason check.
I'm rolling 2D plus reason.
Yeah, 2d10, and then you just add up the total result.
I've got 9.
9 is ask one question, but someone notices you're snooping around, and it might be someone you'd rather not know or a traitor inside your network. Yes, this is always good. This game's fun when you fail sometimes. So you get to ask one question, and these are just suggestions if you feel like there's something better. Where in the world was the scene last? What people have associated themselves with what I'm looking for lately? What tracks or marks are left behind? Or who else is trying to find what I'm looking for? Or anything.
Ooh.
Or if you got a really cool idea.
I do like what people have associated themselves with this.
Okay. All right, we're going to make some stuff up here. Okay. I'm actually going to see. I'm writing notes real fast just so I can get it. So, let's see here. This is okay. So the people that so you take a look at the chip. All right. So this is in your montage that you've got the rubber gloves on. You're looking at the chip itself. It's a little bit because the chip is probably in reality it's about the size of your fingernail. Like that's what a normal chip is. This thing's probably the size of your thumbnail, significantly bigger considering how small it is. So we've got the moment of you twisting and turning, taking a look.
In like the magnifying thing.
Yeah,
the big
you got
magnifying
that.
glass
So
with the light.
there is a little bit of a brand logo on it. It's really small, and it's called Jack of Spades Hardware. Quick search of who they are. They're a smaller, software and hardware development company based out of Silicon Valley. And essentially, now that being said, they have smaller shops. They make these kind of things, and they make chip upgrades. Now, a little bit more of a look. This thing seems to, like, you look at the serial number, you type it into your database. You find out this thing seems to primarily focus on augmenting virtual reality interface. But it doesn't officially say that because, especially once things got put in your body and dealing with virtual reality, it's a little bit more monitored by the government. So, but this is one of those loopholes. If they don't say it's for that, they get around it. But it totally does that. It's one of those things where the law's behind where the technology is.
Advertised usage versus what the people see and actually use it.
Yeah,
for.
there you go. Yeah,
Right.
Miss Townsend's right. Like the advertised usage is, it's got better RAM capacity, blah, 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 which is all shit you would use in virtual reality because it's not like you need your RAM quicker to check your goddamn email, kind of thing.
It's a gaming chip, okay?
Gotcha. And then I'm going to and then I am making a note.
Your wheels turning.
I'm making a note.
See them.
Hey, we got a 9 and below. I got to make a note of who's noticing and or what bad's going to happen because it's not always immediate. All right. Anything else? Or you guys can jump into role play.
Okay.
With permission,
So-
I'd like to check the IRC. I definitely need to ask permission of my boss though, because that's generally something that's like
IRC. All I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say the instant
Internet
relay
relay.
chat.
Internet relay chat.
You're going into a chat room.
That's generally where hackers do most of their talking. So yeah, wanted to check the IRC and see if anyone's talking about Daedalus being gone or less activity from them or something along those lines to see if we can actually figure out if it is Daedalus. Because
Gotcha.
everybody who's everybody
Yep.
would know that.
That's fair.
So
Let me check something here. We've got let's see here. So what you're gonna do right now is you're just gonna make a reason check. You don't have a specific like you have hacker, but I feel like that's overkill for going to a chat room. Like you're just you're just logging into AOL here. That's pretty easy. Any 13-year-old can do that, but
Yeah.
you
well, I didn't
got
know if I would have like certain chats that I know of as a hacker that would be, something.
Yeah,
more...
well, with the hacker advantage, it's more for actually hacking, not that you.
Oh yeah,
are
I know,
hacking.
I understand, but I'm saying that
Yeah.
I would need to get permission from my boss to go to those places because of my bad history.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So
yeah.
listen,
Mhm.
as long as you don't,
I'm doing
is
this
it one that's
purely
not
for
on the dark
case.
web? You know.
I wasn't planning on going to the dark web. No, I
All
don't.
right,
I
then-
don't need to do that. I
Okay.
just
There's a
wanted
whole
to see-
advantage for that.
Then yes. Uh-oh.
I got
I had to s-
16.
I had to sneeze and didn't want everybody watching me.
It's okay. It's okay to be self-conscious about your sneezes.
All
There
right,
it
so
goes
give me
again.
that reason check. Give me that reason check.
Like I said, I got a 16.
16. Okay. So right now there's no news of Daedalus's death. That's also being said. That also part of it is because not everyone knows who Daedalus is. So some dude is dead. That's not a big, but that also indicates to you, at least right now, this is probably something you have to watch a little bit more. He probably if somebody within his internet circles is responsible, they're not making any claims just yet. So, I don't want to say it's not them, but it could, but no one's claiming that yet. So right now, at least if you're looking for in regards to Daedalus, his death and things like that, it's all quiet on the Western Front, as it were. Right now, you're just seeing normal hacker internet traffic. Clearly a couple of illegal things popping up here, but not on your radar, as it were.
And nothing about Brian Wright.
Yes, there's nothing about that. No one seems to. It's not really hit the news yet, because a dead software worker who doesn't, to you guys this is interesting. To everybody else, this is a guy who died of an aneurysm and then fired off a gun. You know what I mean? Like,
Wait.
He died
Probably-
and then he fired.
well, we don't
that's
know.
what
Like,
I'm asking.
like there are two different. Okay, he fired off a gun and died of an aneurysm. Like there was,
Okay.
there is a lot more
Possibly at the same
interesting.
time.
Yeah, there's a lot more interesting things in the news cycle than that right now.
Okay.
So we have a guy here who loved his video games, was big into computers, fired off a bunch of rounds, and then dropped dead of an aneurysm. And
Now- Sorry, go ahead.
you're saying that so this chip is specifically geared towards augmenting VR?
Yes. And there was no sign of entry, no sign of anyone else being in the house. His is the only blood found at the scene. For all intents and purposes, as far as we know, he was the only man in that house. He was the only person in that house.
Did we get toxicology back yet on him?
Yeah, so there's nothing highly unusual in his system. He probably had a drink that night, but nothing. There's nothing to speak foul play in regards to the toxicology report.
Nothing like, no drug use, hallucinogens.
Yeah, nothing like that. Like I said, he probably had a
Medications.
drink that night, but
Okay.
there's nothing to the point. He was not seriously inebriated. Was he okay to drive?
So
But yeah.
I'm wondering. I'm gonna see if I can pull some strings, get in, and see if I can get the login for the gaming rig. um, him being so far from it, I doubt that there was any programs running. But
So if you want to
Why
get
don't
the,
we go? Oh, why don't we go talk to someone at his work?
here we go.
Sounds good to me. I'm
All
good
right.
with people.
so that being said, I think we're going to hybrid both what Agent Cruz said and Townsend said. We're going to go talk to his work, but we're going to use Townsend's influential friend's role because I feel like depending on how well you do on that, can, if anything, just set kind of the NPC demeanor when you get there. If
Oh,
you roll
good.
terribly, maybe they're just like going to be huge dicks about it. But if you roll great, we'll see. So influential friends, you're going to make a charisma check, which for you is +2.
All right. All right, 16.
All right, you can arrange for what you want. So here's what you make a quick phone call to Potomac Studios, stating that their employee Brian Wright is dead, and you have reasons. There's reasons you want to come speak to everybody. You immediately get transferred to legal, and legal, of course, is as cooperative as they can be. Let me check the notes because I wrote some names in regards to this. Ralph Hinkle is his name. Ralph Hinkle sets up a meeting with you guys around lunchtime at Potomac Studios' headquarters, which is about an hour and a half from where you are because it's in Maryland as well.
All right. Okay. Got a lunch meeting. We can all go if we want.
I'm really good with people. You know me.
Yeah, let's set Amber Brown loose a bunch of geeks. There you go. This is gonna end well.
All right. This is going to be exciting. We pile into a car and we go.
All right. So Potomac Studios, the building itself is probably about 10 stories tall. It's definitely it's more of a wider kind of campus than it is tall. The way I see it, the building itself's got kind of very reflective windows, and it's kind of got like, I almost think of it like, if you look, it's kind of got that indent, you know what I mean, where the building kind of comes in, there's an indent, kind of looks like I guess a chevron if you were to look at it from the top. You guys arrive. There is a token security force that's at present at nearly any place that wants to maintain some sort of corporate secrets. You guys show up, flash your badges. The security, of course, is completely like, oh yes, yeah, you have the meeting. So they take you to the 9th floor, not quite the top floor, and to a small corner office. There is a small I don't want to say it's a spread. It's more of somebody found out the FBI was coming, so they made sure to order Subway. So there's Subway sandwiches and stuff there. Like, I mean, it's not it's not quite enough to butter anybody up, but it's definitely to put everyone in a little bit better of a mood. So there's Subway sandwiches and drinks and things there for you guys to have. After a few moments, you will meet, there's Janet Gray, she's from Public Relations, Ralph Hinkle, who set up the meeting, from Legal, and Mildred King from Human Resources. And they all sit down.
I appreciate you meeting at such short notice. I'm sure it was a little bit of a crunch to get everyone available at once.
Normally, it can kind of hard to get all of us together, but the death of one of our employees, we make
Right, of course.
we make special arrangement for. We're of course on. Our heart goes out to Mr. Hinkle's not Mr. Hinkle, Mr. Wright's family. But if you don't mind us asking, what happened?
Died of an aneurysm. But due to some hardware found in his home, we have reason to believe that he might be connected to something a little bit larger, although we can't say for certain quite what yet. It's an ongoing investigation, of course, you understand. we were hoping, because his work computer was found at his home, that we might gain access to it if you guys would provide the logins, password information that you have on file. That way we can see what information glean what information we can off of that work computer related to yours. We think what happened is not related, of course, to his work. However, we have to explore all possibilities.
If you don't mind me, this is Hinkle with legal.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, what particularly are we concerned with our employee dealing with? I'm not a police officer. I'm not a doctor. But an aneurysm sounds like something that, while tragic happens, why are you involved?
He had an aftermarket chip installed, and one that is largely used for enhanced VR experiences. We can safely say at this point in time, no one else was in the home, and yet shots were fired. We're trying to get to the bottom of that. It is due to, as I said, I can't give you the exact details, but due to some other hardware that is unrelated to your company that was found in the home, that we are involved. This might be a matter of national security, unfortunately.
Miss Mildred Kane is a woman who's probably looking like she should be entering retirement sometime here soon, definitely within the next decade for sure. She kind of stepped forward like, well, Mr. Wright was one of the lead administrators and programmers for our game Breaking and Entering. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
Yes.
So lore flash, essentially Breaking and Entering is essentially, I'm not sure if you, Grand Theft Auto Online, but it's that, 20 years in the future with VR.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's exactly
Crime the video game.
Yeah, it's Crime the video game. Yes, it's exactly what it is. Except now it's in VR, which...
Yeah, I think the cybercrimes unit is painfully aware of this,
yes,
this
indeed.
game's existence.
Yeah, that being said, at least in regards to Breaking and Entering, it's one of the hot VR games, one of the hot online VR games. Like, you guys have all, with the exception of maybe Mr. Harris. Like, Mr. Harris might be like, and Mr. Harris is like, oh, those things them damn kids play. The three of you are probably like, oh, yes, this, yes, of course.
I've got one of those. I've got one of these copies.
Yeah, and it's and it's completely up to you guys if you guys have a copy of it. He is one of the lead programmers for that. So that being said, was this HR? Is it HR? Who's talking right now?
Yeah,
HR kind of HR. Like, we never encourage any of our employees to use any aftermarket hardware or software in dealing with our products. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if others have. So that at least makes sense in regards to that. So he kind of turns over to legal. Legal goes, I'll be honest. Here's what I'm thinking we should do. He kind of turns to everyone. We're going to need a warrant of some kind, but we're going to turn over this material to you with the understanding that you will produce a warrant within the next 48 hours.
Of course. Let me make a quick phone call.
Yeah. Getting a
And
warrant.
I'll go over to the corner and on the, in the room, just,
yeah,
give me the warrant.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Getting a warrant, it's actually, this is not like in actually how law enforcement works. This wouldn't be the first time this has happened. This is kind of a more common procedure. Everyone knows you can get a warrant. You have a suspicious reason for this to happen. Sometimes just, officers want to get information as quickly as possible. So after you make that quick call, Ms. Townsend, it's going to take, by the end of the day, you're going to get the warrant.
Yeah.
But that's enough to satisfy legal and all of them. So here's what they provide to you. They provide you guys with the password to his computer and access to some of his work emails and things like that. They of course caution you, which they're pretty certain. It's kind of more of a token thing, is that you will see access to company secrets, things like that, or mutual projects. Please do not release this. You guys individually, you all could be sued for that as well. But Mr. Hinkle goes over it regardless. So that being said, they also create a situation that with a quick phone call, you can come access late. Well, Mr. Wright primarily worked remotely. You can also be able to access or contact his team. So, all right. So with that, it seems like my chat doesn't want to start up here. Sorry, I'm reloading. What are we doing now?
Okay. We need to get Mina on the on that computer, or starting to open up the other computers and get Cruz on the work computer. We need one of them on the computer. I've pulled strings. That's what I'm good at. I'm here to delegate. You guys do that.
Well, you want me to see if there's anything interesting in the work computer and then move to the bigger computer and see what I can do? Or what operation would you like me to perform, boss?
Yeah, if you can see if there's anything hinky on the work computer, that would be great. I'm still curious about the chip, if the chip was connected to that computer at the time of death, or before that, or if it was connected to any of the devices.
So
because I feel like there's more with the chip.
So you can plug the chip in theory into any of your computers and just get the info from it. Like, oh, what was the chip doing? And things like that. You can do that at any time. So let's start with the kind of mundane stuff. So what's going to happen here is they give you a quick tour of the facility, and take you to probably on the 5th floor, kind of the people in charge of breaking and entering. HR does a quick job. They eventually, let me write a name down here. Let's see here. Just because so the PR brings you over to Adrian Temple, who is the lead designer of breaking and entering. He takes you over to the relatively seems like more of a public cubicle for people for remote workers to occasionally come in and log in and do their work. So he takes you over to his computer with the password. We'll log you in, things like that. So he essentially, he's kind of instructed from PR, like, hey, one of our coworkers passed away. They have reason to suspect something might be up. Help these guys out, but try not to make a big deal about it. So you guys log in. He turns over the computer to whoever wishes it. And this isn't necessarily the same that's on his home computer, but you'll be able to see the shared things, like his emails and things like that.
Okay, well, I have additional thumb drives, so I can just download whatever I need to download. With your permission, of course. NDAs signed and everything like that, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Take what you need. This is it's kind of upsetting. This isn't the first time we've had a tragedy on the team.
Really? I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, a couple months back, we had another programmer that lost his life, but in a different situation.
Sorry, what was their name?
His name was James. James, about 6 months ago, one of our one of our initial developers of Breaking and Entering, amazing team player, kept himself, but he committed suicide.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
How did he kill himself?
He says kind of like gulping, and I'm going to do trigger warning suicide for those. I'm going to give a little bit of a deep. He got off the phone with me, talking about some of our next goals for Breaking and Entering in the upcoming expansion. And after that, he got into the tub and slit his wrist.
So sorry.
Yeah, him and Brian were good friends.
How well did Brian get along with other members of your team?
Brian could be a little bit of an asshole, but I don't think it's to the point that it majorly disrupted his work. I think, he's definitely one of those guys, a competitive gamer, things like that. Definitely probably dropped a few crass comments when he shouldn't have, but I don't think there's anything at HR on him. If you catch my meaning, I think it's more of, okay,
Right.
Brian, shut up. We got to get moving on whatever the project was at this time. Breaking and Entering is one of the big money makers for the company, so we try to get working on it. Brian's most recent thing was to deal with the upcoming expansion, as well as trying to keep unlicensed moderation from happening to the game. Our game functions off of, there's our primary servers. A lot of people will create their own version of it once they get the source code and things like that. Some of it we accept. The community content's a very important thing that helps it grow, but sometimes, given the adult nature of the game, sometimes people go a little too far, and those are things we don't want associated with the company brand. So that was Brian's more recent job.
Interesting.
Looking for those, or
Yes. So
okay.
the way we've been working it on is there's our primary servers, which are housed here and in other locations throughout the United States, simply to prevent lag. That hosts the main part of Breaking and Entering. While you're in Breaking and Entering, you can take place in all sorts of the shenanigans and escapism that you want to. But some people want to make community content, such as example. Oh, someone has me up too loud. Such as maybe one of our users created an interesting obstacle course, stealing one of the vehicles. That's amazing. Others people have made inappropriate things, especially prep sub. While the game is not exactly for children, our depiction of violence is rather simplistic, if not over the top with our particle blood effects, but other people take it a little too far. And those are things we don't want to associate with our brand. Just because of the way it's set up, individual admins sometimes have to discover the locations to teleport or to move to those zones, which are housed on private servers. If we don't like that, we disconnect it.
Interesting. Okay.
Did Brian have one of those servers?
I would say Brian, to our knowledge, would not have one of those servers because that would be he would be one of the people that he's trying to kick out in theory. So
Right.
I would say I don't think Brian has one of those servers, but I guess in theory it's possible anyone could create one.
Never had any disciplinary problems with Mr. Wright.
No, nothing. Like I said, other than occasionally, getting a little too competitive in his gaming and talking trash to some of his coworkers, but nothing that I feel like would warrant any special attention.
Don't those contraband servers get you money, extra money,
They
publicity?
They
good
can.
PR?
They can, and that's why we like some of them. But some of them either for glitch reason or content, like I said, breaking and entering is an adult game. Sometimes people go too far, or sometimes it taking a school bus full of grannies and jumping off into somewhere might not be something we necessarily completely want associated with it. Also, too, um, malicious hacks by being in other places, so people can create these things, and our admins are able to access them. If but they're all set up in our virtual world. So if you were to log in to breaking and entering, there is the virtual world, in which case you can go to different areas, different like streets, doors, things like that open up to these individual servers. So if someone wants to create their badass penthouse, they can create that there, and it doesn't necessarily have to follow all the main rules of the game, but that's their space. So if someone has the coolest pad in the world, yes, we get money from that. It helps do that, but sometimes there's just things you don't want associated with your brand.
Right. We don't want people going around emulating Richard Ramirez.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've been extremely helpful. I really appreciate it. Do you think we've got everything that we need off of the shared files that we have access to here?
Yeah, and his actual work computer might have a few extra things saved locally. With a little bit of work, we can access it from here, but you can also access it from his work computer.
Yeah, we have his the physical, like the hardware, at one of our locations. So, but I figured while we were here, we might as well say hello, get what information we can, share, from the shared files. I think though we've had enough time to grab what information we need.
Was anyone else close with Brian?
Not that I know of. But I'll be honest. Brian and I didn't exactly. He worked remotely. We didn't exactly go out too much after work. I couldn't tell you. Mr. Martin, who unfortunately passed away about 6 months ago, those two were closer, but I wouldn't say like I'm not sure if any of us would be invited to each other's weddings, if you catch my drift
Right.
there.
Do you have
You
anyone
can get
else who's
along.
working remotely?
Oh my God, yes. Most of our team works remotely nowadays. People come in here. I would say most people work about 75% from home, and then 25% of the time here for meetings and things like that.
Right.
We have a
two
list of
didn't
those
get
people?
along, did you?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time, Agent Cruz.
Oh, I'm getting a sense that you two didn't get along.
No. I wouldn't say that we didn't get along. We were, work friends.
Mm.
He was an asshole.
No, he could be an asshole. I'm not sure if you're into competitive gaming, but he's the kind of guy that would teabag your corpse, if you catch my meaning.
Oh, a real Halo kind of guy.
Yeah, like no one's filing a workplace harassment claim over him, but he was not the guy you wanted to be on the other side of the death match from.
Gotcha. Hmm.
Do you happen to know what kind of work he was doing specifically, or what part of the expansion he was working on?
Coding can be kind of boring, but essentially, our upcoming expansion is a new graphics enhancement for hardware that's being developed, not necessarily that's not being developed by us. Very similar to how the new Microsoft console is going to have particular hardware. We want our software and our games to work on them. There is a new virtual reality hardware being developed that is supposed to be next gen, top of the line. And luckily, between the work of Mr. Martin and Mr. Wright, Breaking and Entering is going to hopefully be graphically and experience the game to play in the next year or two. So their job was to make sure rendering works out and things like that. So,
Well, now that you're down those two team members, who's taking over?
we have a team. That being said, it will be difficult to replace Brian. But I'm certain between everyone here, we may have to delay a little bit, but I don't think it's good. Hopefully, it won't be a large setback.
Well, who's running lead now? Or has that not been decided yet?
Well, I'm the lead of the whole development process. It's just that's what Mr. Wright specifically does, is more of the interface. Outside of, he has two duties, creating a better interface for the upcoming hardware increasement and keeping people out. Everyone takes turns modding the servers. It's just what you do. Yeah, everyone has to have so many hours and things like that.
Okay.
All right. Well, we won't take up any more of your time. Thank you for all of your help. I really appreciate it. We really do. If we have any other questions, we'll be sure to reach out.
Okay, so now what do we want to do?
I think we want to get back to DC, get actually on the physical gaming rig computer, get access to that, see if there's anything physical, hinky with the coding, with what was going on. Like if there's anything hinky on that computer, I do want to do more with that chip of seeing, downloading the information, seeing if it was, running a program, if it was interacting with anything, if it was connected to something weird, when it was installed
Gotcha.
into like that sort of thing.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Harris. Looks like you're going to say something.
Townsend, if I could, I can't do a thing with that. But what I can do is I can do some legwork and do some look into Martin's suicide.
I was just about to ask that actually.
I can't help but feel like there, we got one programmer who, forgive me for lack of a better term, but loses his shit and blows up his own house. No sign of breaking or entering. And then we have another programmer who slit his own wrists after working on the project. So I can't help but feel like there's something there.
No, I completely agree. I think I'm liking the idea that those are connected.
Maybe take this list of people that are also working on the same expansion and see if there's been any incidents as far as anything goes, unusual behavior, activity, or 911 calls or anything. Additional paranoia, anything. No telling.
That makes sense. Okay.
Or if any of them also have black market chips or anything like that.
Yeah, aftermarket chips might be a good. Ooh, if James has an aftermarket chip, that one. If Martin has an aftermarket chip, there's got to be more there. There's got to be
Yeah.
Well, I'll see if I can pull his autopsy report.
Hopefully there was one. I know with suicides, there's not always.
Well, we'll find out.
But
I'd like to know more about this Jack. What is it called? Jack of Spades.
Jack of Spades hardware.
Yeah. I want to know if other people have had any complaints about these chips interfering with neurological functions.
Valley, which will take you a little bit to get to. So, Jack of Spades, for the most part, is like I said, they just sell aftermarket products. Essentially, kind of modern days where you'd get a cool new graphics card or things to do like that, outside of just out of the main providers for that. So that might be a next time kind of thing. But that being said, I feel like the one thing we haven't done back when you could find a graphics card to buy. Yes, you're right. Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
don't
no,
even
exactly.
get me started.
Indeed. But I feel like the one thing, like I said, we got a lot of info we're gonna dump here. But I feel like one that's gonna get everyone kind of somewhere to go is you guys return back to the office, you log into his gaming rig, you use the passwords, and one of the first things you're gonna do is peruse his work emails. Outside of boring ass programming shit, which is and also too just bullshit cubicle things, things, just like, oh my god, oh, did we get this meeting, yada yada yada. But you guys are seasoned investigators, you move past that. There is I've got to look up the name for it because I'm in no way going to be subtle.
We don't know subtlety here.
Oh yeah, no. I do not like being. I just gotta. There we go. So, there's the things that stick out to you, especially as you get closer or the more recent emails, things not within the company but have been sent to him, asking a lot about a particular mod of the game that people are concerned and or want him to see, called the Lament modification. And essentially, to summarize it, like, this is a fucked up place to go, but it's so awesome if you have the right hardware. Like, the things you can do there, this is essentially to bring up what the kind of the admin was worried about, like, ooh, we don't want things that, get too creepy and dark to be associated with our brand. It's like someone made that, and this is the place to go. But you've got to have, the better your software is, the better your hardware is, the cooler it is to go. But they're kind of asking Daedalus, have you been there? Have you found it? In his correspondences, he is looking, especially he is looking for it. The way to enter this particular mod, this server, is hard to find in the game. And only a few people kind of know about it. And that's what he spent the last especially the last 72 hours before he was done, or before he expired, because he thought he was really close to finding this in the game.
So who is asking him if he's found it? Because those are the next people that I want to look into.
Okay, so unfortunately, there's probably about a dozen or so people. I don't, and as the GM, I don't have all of their names, but you totally write them down. You totally write them down, and we'll see if they end up being important in episode 3. Definitely, and we'll even say that as you guys were all sitting around, like, okay, and if you Google this mod, like, okay, what is the Google saying about this? You will essentially see, you hear things, it sounds like creepypastas about M64 back in the day. Apacho, yes.
Oh god, yeah, I'm getting big, like, 4chan creepypasta vibes.
Yeah. So you find a couple of clips of these things, like on whatever, 20 years from now or 25 years from now YouTube looks like. Do you remember how, I'm not sure, was it Grand Theft Auto, or it might have been Saints Row, which is only a parody of Grand Theft Auto, so it gets even more ridiculous. There was apparently, there was the time that you could pull up to the hookers, beep the horn, and they jump in the car with, bounce and all that other business. So imagine that, but 20 years in the future, but, darker. This is almost in a way, but it's all in VR now. So you guys, there's only a few clips on YouTube because they all get taken down because it's too far of dark content. And there's a
We
clip.
go to the orange YouTube.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, and it is, you will see a clip of someone, their kind of recording of it is of like choking someone, and it's almost all too real, as it were, and just different things. Like this is where you go to do your dark, perverse things in VR.
Oh. Oh.
Hmm. I see.
That's ugly.
So there has to be a flavor for everything. I see. A little bit of a doorway into the dark.
That being said, Mr. Harris, I'm going to kind of expedite your investigation just to get us to something a little bit more, some quote unquote meat on it.
Sure.
So you make a quick phone call. Let me look up just because I want to make sure I'm saying all the names right here.
I just want to take a moment. Ember, I don't know if you realized you are frozen.
Gotcha.
Your video is frozen.
We might have lost her. She might come back here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. If you need to turn it off, turn it on. There you go. Speaking of our IT issues here. Have you tried turning it off?
Shit. Looks like it.
That's all right. It's a nice pose, though.
Yeah.
Right.
I always seem to get caught when my video freezes. I'm making the weirdest face, and it was a good just neutral pose. It seems like you're back up now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because you're blacked out now.
Yeah.
So you make a call to James Martin's family, and we're gonna kind of paraphrase. The parents are devastated. They hadn't seen much of their son in the last couple of years. Let me see here. Let me see if I got some of these names here. They talk about that after their son died, because we're going to say they live out in California. They paid some movers to take his stuff and put it in a storage unit out here on the East Coast. They just couldn't see it. They haven't been out, and they just couldn't bring themselves to go out there and see what had happened to their son. That being said, they called the storage unit, that they're more than willing to give you access to the storage unit and things like that to take a look at his things. They're a little concerned with, oh my, what does our son's death have to do with something? You're just like, probably, you do the standard cop thing of like, oh, well, it's probably nothing, but I'd rather take a look at, safe than sorry. But they seem to they have this feeling that like, which I'm sure, again, trigger warning for suicide, which I'm sure a great many survivors, people who, experience loved ones that do that, like, they always wanted there to be something more, something to explain this. And in a way, they're hoping you can. So, while that night, of course, because it's not going to happen during the day, because, that would be only too convenient. You're gonna find yourself in front of this storage facility there. You have the key. And it's not quite raining, it's drizzling, and there you are standing in front of it. What do you want to do? And it's just you, by the way. It's just you.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and enter. This would be the moment where I point out that I have the quick thinker.
Yeah, let's go ahead and roll for quick thinker. Let's go ahead and do that, just in case, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a great idea. With my whopping 6.
Okay, so at any time during the mission, you may choose one option, but you failed to account for something, and the GM gets to make a move.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, so you obviously it takes you, it's not cinematically, it takes you a second to unlock the lock. And you pull it up, and of course, just creepily enough, it gets jammed halfway. You can easily duck underneath it, but you can't quite get it up all the way. So, of course, you go inside.
Right.
So, let's go ahead. Let's have a perception check here. Let me see what your quick thinker is here, just in case we want to use any of those. Field training that would be useful. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. Just give me a perception check right now. Yeah.
Okay. Ooh. That is going to be a 21.
Oh, well, Jesus. Okay, well, so yeah, there's no complications there.
Double off.
So this the storage shed itself is or the storage unit itself is it's not massive, but it's on the larger end of it. Most of this, and a phrasing check. Oh, I don't know if there was a phrasing check. I must have said something. I do say that's what she said bait all the time, though. That being said, Phoenix Blues pointed out. So, of course, you kind of pull out the flashlight as you're looking around. There's a computer in the back, and you also find some like retro, I guess to this retro, what it would look like. Geez, it's probably retro 20 years in the future is like our Xboxes now or stuff like that. Some retro gaming and computer equipment. You come across though some, I'm gonna say a digital foot. I'm gonna say this is what it would look like in the future, but also still having some kind of retro look to it. It's like oh my god, a photo album. There you go. Took me a second, and then as you flip through it, it will illuminate because it has digital images in there. It's got a little battery pack in the back. So there you go. As you're flipping through the pictures, and you start to see some of the years of James's life. You see some young childhood photos. This is more for the audience than anything else that's quote unquote watching this movie. As you get towards the end, though, you start to see pictures with James, with someone who was apparently very important to him. I'm going to be nondescript a little bit, just in case, and the only reason is I don't want to pigeonhole the description of this character in case I somehow cast this person, should you take an interest in them. But it seems to be someone that's very important to him, that definitely has that dark feminine mystique and becomes very important. Just there's a couple pictures of them out, things like that, and it is obvious to you that this is like a girlfriend or nothing, something like that. The name you can find attached to this person is Jezebel. You get to the back though, and you definitely see some photographs that were definitely meant for mom and dad not to see. James and Jezebel engaging in their own little private romantic exchanges.
Got it.
But then as you get towards like the last couple of pages, there's a few pictures. There is like a so the way I see it's like a digital picture. So like there's some sort of thin material that will whatever you assign to it. It has been slashed with a knife. And the last couple pictures of her and him together seem to have been damaged or in some way someone has lashed out at these last couple of pictures.
Okay. So the I'm assuming this is like a flexible LED screen or
something like that. There you go. Yeah.
Okay. And so they literally have torn through the pages.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just as an aside, since I didn't want to interrupt your description, Harris, when going through the childhood pictures, Harris pauses for a long moment, having a flashback to the morning before.
Mm-hmm.
and then quickly flips through the childhood pictures as quick as possible.
Gotcha.
That's going to be replayed in his brain all night. And then, so he will flip back from the damage pages to one of the clearer pictures of Jezebel.
Mm-hmm.
And
Gotcha.
so that he can look her information up, try to get a picture of, try to get an ID on her in the database.
You hear, and of course, as you're taking that picture, you hear a cling or something fall behind you further into the storage shed.
Okay. Well, with the practiced reflexes of a of an old FBI agent, he goes for one hand on the gun, turns with the flashlight, and immediately FBI.
So you will see a green light slowly illuminate, and then a digital projection will kind of flicker to life. User not recognized.
Damn device.
Accessing, it says.
Oh, hell
Agent.
no, you're. Oh,
Agent
hell no,
Harris.
Stumbles with his
Gotcha.
finger trying to hold the flashlight. Oh, hell no, you're not.
What's wrong, Agent Harris? Aren't we friends? You will
Hell
start
no,
to see a digital projection of a face.
No, we're not. I'm not a fan. How do I forget the network again?
Perhaps query misunderstood. Selecting better interface. And then the thing will disappear, and then the picture, and then essentially a digital projection of your daughter will appear. Is this better?
So he starts to back out of the storage space.
I'm going to need you to make a willpower check for me, as I'm going to attempt to move.
9.
9? Okay, that is not good. So so as you kind of walk forward, it says, "Daddy, no," and it'll reach forward. And now this thing is like buried off in the background. So it's about 10 feet away from you. So as you're backing up, but it reaches out and it touches you, and you feel a tingle on your cheek. So as it touches you, but there is a 10-foot distance between you, you feel it touch you. We can, Daddy, no. We can make it real. We can make it all real.
No, I don't have a kid. Never had a kid. Never gonna have a kid. Your circuit's fried.
So
then, am I talking?
So then you'll hear a kind of a voice that's speaking to you as if your own device was speaking to you. And he says, "I don't have it's like, we can make reality whatever you want it to be. Do you need help? Would you like to make your own personal heaven? I can help you with that." So are you backing out of the storage shed?
Yeah.
So then as you get out of the storage cell, it'll go, wait. And then you'll see the light kind of slowly dissipate.
Reaches up, grabs the lip of the gate, slams the gate shut, locks that bitch, and veritably runs for his car.
So we'll see what happens. Stick around. We've got things going on. So that being said, everyone take care, and we will see you all next week.